Well, welcome everybody to our third episode here of Erie Wellness Connect. Today we have Kristy Baird with us from Verity Herbs and Wellness. Hello, Kristy.
Hello, Heather. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm excited to have you here today. Now, I met Kristy a couple of years ago through a networking event. We were at Presque Isle Wellness, I believe, and then we've collaborated on a few projects since then, and we've been growing our businesses together, and I'm super excited where you're at right now. But I did want to start off with finding a little bit more about you and really the whole inception of Verity Herbs. So, Kristy, if you can kind of go back, however far back it goes for you, how did you even get into herbalism?
Well, I've always loved the natural world and plants. I was, like a hippie teenager and went camping a lot and spent a lot of time out in the woods. And it was never a really serious thing for me. It was always just kind of like playing with plants and reading about them and reading about herbs. And it wasn't really until I became pregnant with my daughter in 2010 that I started to get really serious about herbal medicine and just, how we could incorporate that into our lives. I was really concerned at the time about toxins in our products that we use, especially for children, because I was pregnant and looking at baby balms and salves and things like that. And it was right around the time when Johnson & Johnson was having a lot of lawsuits because there were like carcinogens in the talcum powder and kids were getting sick. And so it was all really scary. And it was my first time, being a mom. And I started to really look at natural options. And as I was reading the ingredients for things, I saw there were a lot of the same plants that were coming up. And I thought, well, if it's just a plant, I could probably grow it or try. And, I wasn't a big gardener. I just had like a little concrete pad for a patio at the time. But I just started growing herbs in pots and just kind of experimenting with it and just seeing what would happen. And I started making herbal products and sharing them with my family and using them myself. And I was really surprised by how easy it was. And I guess when I outgrew that, I started my herbal product business and was selling herbal products online for about 7 years.
Oh,
And that was Verity Apothecary, it was called at the time. So since then, Pennsylvania does not like the word apothecary for businesses. So it is now Verity Herbs and Wellness. But during that time, I did work at Chicory Hill Herbs, which is where my business is very recently housed.
yes.
But when I was working there and working the herb counter, like people would ask often for, what herb will help with my heartburn or whatever. And it's really hard to tell somebody an herb and, have it work for them because there's so many herbs, there's so many options. People are so unique. And I didn't know anything about these people when they would come in. I didn't know what their life was like, how much they slept, what medications they were on. With heartburn, like what are you eating? You can't really get into all that in a retail setting. It's pretty difficult. So that was really what inspired me to study anatomy and physiology and to really focus in on clinical studies. So I did some advanced studies with Herbal Academy and with the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. I mentored with a clinical herbalist in Southern Ohio and spent some time observing her clinic and, how she did things. And then in 2021, I opened my clinical practice.
Okay. I see. So which is right around where I met you.
Yes, yep. And it was 2022 when I started at Presque Isle Mind Body Wellness Center. I was seeing clients online before that, and then I moved myself to an office there. And that's been wonderful. They're wonderful there. There's a whole lot going on up there. But yeah, I said I would never do retail again. I said I would never do herbal products again. And here I am. So we've kind of evolved over these years.
Kind of all coming together, though, all of those pieces for you.
Yes. Yeah.
So you were doing the coaching. First you were making your own herbs, pulling them online. Then you got into coaching, and we're also working at Chicory Hill at the time. Tell us about, so now, which is really, really cool, within the last few months, this has all come to fruition, and kind of your past meeting up with your future and all kind of meshing together. Tell us where you're located at now, how within the last crazy couple of months has come to fruition for you. And I remember you saying that, a big part of why you're where you're at today was to get back into the kitchen. So it sounds like you really want to go back to, quote unquote, the roots of it all and bring that all together. So tell us a little bit about where you're at now and how that all came about.
Okay, so Chicory Hill Herbs was located at 2516 and a half Peach Street, so right next to Grasshopper on Peach Street. And she was here for 28 years, and it was an herb store with crystals and incense and, all kinds of things. And they decided to retire a few months ago. Well, I guess probably almost a year ago, because they put the business up for sale. They were looking for someone to take it over. And at the time when I first heard about it, I thought, no way, I never want to do retail. I don't want to sit in a store all day. But it was not really on my radar, but I was looking for somewhere that had a kitchen because I needed a new home for my dispensary for my clients. And I was looking at commercial kitchen places to lease, and it just didn't even occur to me that the store had a kitchen in the back that I could fix up, and it just wasn't even, I don't know. But then one day it just kind of was like a light bulb moment, and I was actually laying in bed and was like, oh my gosh, I should go talk to Judy and just see if anybody's bought the business yet, and what we can do. And everything just happened very fast. I mean, I think from that moment, a few days later, I had committed to moving into that space. And we closed for, I think it was about a month, just to completely renovate. I mean, 28 years she was open, so there were a lot of things that needed updating. The kitchen was a big one. And oh my gosh, I've spent so much time and energy into fixing up this kitchen. But it's really nice because I guess the drawback to making herbal products was, for me, not having a suitable place to do it and not having a place to store all of my products and having to lug them to markets and things like that. So having a built-in retail space with a kitchen, it just kind of makes sense. And I love formulating. I love making products. It's so much fun to experiment with herbs and just to, make different things. So I'm excited to get back into
it. Sounds like you're really bringing together the creative portion of it, right? The hands-on portion of it. Well, I have a question for doing herbs like this. Is there any type of local or state regulation that you have to work with, or anything with the health department? You had mentioned having the kitchen and having to store things. Is there anything that you have to, at this time, have to work with, or red tape that you have to work through to do anything like that?
So Pennsylvania does not have cottage laws, which a lot of other states do, where you can make things in your kitchen and just sell them to the public. And that really doesn't exist for a retail situation either. So herbs are a non-hazardous food. So it's really not as heavily regulated as a restaurant or something like that. But yes, I do have to comply with the local health departments, their standards and things like that. And yeah, it really just depends on what you're making. But there are a lot of people who are making herbal products from their homes that's fine to do for yourself and for your family and friends and things like that. But once you start selling, you gotta, it's just like anything else that's consumable, I guess. We just have to be careful.
So do you find the learning curve here, now that you're fully into a retail space, are you coming across things where you're like, now I have to do this, or now I have to come to regulate this? And are you learning a lot more now that you've leveled up, and now there's a little bit of regulation, a little bit more things that you have to do? Are you kind of learning that as you go along, okay, now I have to do this a little bit differently? And what does that feel like for you? Because sometimes that could be a frustration and sometimes a challenge in a business. But as well, when you start doing it, you really start to see the why and how that starts to level up for you. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yeah, and it really offers clarity. Like there's a lot of things that are really annoying to do with the business, but then it offers a lot of clarity and a lot of structure. And for me, there were a lot of things that I didn't like I maybe knew about but didn't have to put into practice because I didn't have a space like this before. And I guess putting those things into practice and building these foundational systems is really like, oh yeah, there's a learning curve and it's a challenge right now, but I know that it's going to serve me, for the future. And I think I'm at a really good point in my life to be doing that because everything was theoretical before, and I had read about this and seen other people do this, and now putting it into practice is actually really fun.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I love seeing that evolution that happens when there's a different energy that is behind doing something where you're making it out of your home to now retail and have people coming in, and there's just that validity that happens when you start getting those procedures and policies and stuff down, and like you said, working with the state and taking it from theoretical to actual application makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any employees right now, or is it just you?
It's just me for now. We'll see.
So tell me what your plan is for Verity Herbs and Wellness right now, within the next year, like your short-term goal as far as really getting this shaped into what it is for Kristy Baird, right? And Kristy Baird's community.
I guess I really want to have I want to have a lot of things happening. I want to have a lot of teas and a lot of salves and a lot of different things, but really just having good quality American organic herbs available for purchase for the community that's at the front and center for me. When Chicory Hill was going to close, a lot of people were really concerned because there's really nowhere else in Erie to get herbs. And the co-op does have some, so there is another place, but buying herbs online, not everybody's, interested in that. So I have transitioned to selling herbs by the ounce instead of like in a pre-bagged situation. I'm like measuring to order. And that's really nice because it helps keep things fresher. And you can really tell the difference like just immediately when you experience these plants this way. But I want to have some tea blends for purchase just for people who are not, interested in blending for themselves. I do have a tiny consultation space in the front, so I'm hoping to evolve that a little more so that I can see clients here one day a week. I want to have workshops and classes here as well. It's nice. I love doing them around the community, but it'll be really nice to just kind of have it all in one place. And just supporting other local artists and makers. That's really important to me too. So having like a space for people to bring things to sell would be nice too. So working on getting it all together.
Now, I know one of the big things and one of your signature things are the plant walks that you did around town or that you were doing around town. Do you plan on still doing those? Maybe not so much, maybe just more so out of your space. And explain to somebody listening who's never done anything like that before what they might experience on a plant walk, or what type of plants that you might present maybe in a class at your place.
Yeah, so plant walks are near and dear to my heart. That is one of my favorite ways to introduce people to herbs because a lot of the times they're what we would call weeds. And they're things that just grow in the sidewalk or grow on the roadside, and you probably have seen them your whole life and don't necessarily know that they have medicinal and culinary value. So so the plant walks, I take people groups. Usually it's a group of like maybe 10 to 15 people, sometimes less. And I've been doing them for years at Brown's Farm in Asbury Woods. And we gather and we just I call it a plant walk, but it's more of a plant meander. Like it's nothing intense, but we just kind of walk around and talk about whatever is growing. And I do them from April to September. So we get to go through kind of the whole growing season. And a lot of times I will talk about the same plants because they're in different phases of growth. But yeah, well, we talk about historical uses and how you can, make a morning green juice from them or use them in your cooking or whatever. And it's just really nice to show people kind of what's out there. So you're not looking at just like a green wall anymore. You can kind of pick out what some of the more familiar things are.
I was somebody who maybe am interested in herbs or maybe kind of like, I know they would be good for me, but I know absolutely nothing about them. And I'm trying to get healthier in my life, right? And I heard about you and I walked in and said, hey, I've got, this and this going on. And what kind of herbs should I use to do this? Is that how somebody new to herbalism, like how would I even approach that or just come into your store and be like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm interested in it and this is what I need it for? Like how would somebody who knows nothing about herbalism come into your store and maybe break the ice with you on that?
So that's really why I want to have a lot of different tea blends, because I think tea is a really great introduction to herbs for a lot of people. Especially, a lot of herbs don't taste great, but we can blend them together and maybe add some honey, and then it's a little more palatable. So I guess if somebody were to come in and see, I have a wall of different intro to herb books, different like cookbooks that involve herbs and things like that. And I'm very, very intentional with the books that I'm bringing into this store. There's a lot of really bad ones out there, so I'm trying to make sure we only carry the good ones. But yeah, I do offer my clinical services still. So if somebody was really like at a complete loss and just didn't have the time maybe to commit to figuring it all out for themselves, that's where the consultations are really nice. They do a thorough health history ahead of time, and then we spend an hour and a half kind of talking that through and looking for patterns and imbalances and just kind of what's going on. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving any like diagnoses or anything or treating anything. But sometimes when people have a whole host of diagnoses and, are very zoomed in, I guess, it's really nice to have somebody help them zoom out and just look for patterns. And, okay, maybe there's something respiratory going on chronically for you. So how can we support your respiratory system with herbs? And that's really where herbs shine, is in the preventative and in the support and kind of bringing balance back to the body. So I definitely want to have some like tea blends and tincture blends that are just generally tonic and supportive for different parts of the body, different systems of the body. And I guess for somebody just coming in, looking at the teas would probably be a good start, or just talk to me because pretty easy to talk to.
That's good to know, starting with the cheese. So if you're brand new to herbalism, go in, start tripping out the cheese. That's a great place to start. Question, what is the difference between a tea and a tincture? What is a tincture?
So a tea is actually it's an herbal infusion, and it can be made usually by putting an herbal blend or a single herb into a container, pouring boiling water over it, letting it sit and steep, straining out the plant matter, and then drinking the drink. A tincture is an alcohol extract of a plant. So with the tincture, we're letting the plant sit in alcohol for usually about a month, and that's extracting oftentimes some of the constituents that water alone isn't going to extract, and it's also preserving it. So then when we strain that out, you have a very strong extract of the herb. So instead of drinking an entire cup of tea, you may only need to take like a dropper full or something like that. So it's a lot more convenient for people. A tea, you make it and you want to drink that within a few hours or refrigerate it because it's going to spoil. A tincture will stay good for many years.
Are you making tinctures there?
Not making tinctures here yet, but I do have them and I'm ordering them in for now.
Nice. Okay. So here's more of a business question, because we're going from not ever having inventory or retail really before to now that is your business. And I know there is a big difference with having to keep inventory, having to come up with the capital to buy the inventory. Like, how is that as a business person on the entrepreneur side of things? How is that feeling for you? And how are you feeling that all out?
Well, I think with anything new like that, it's super scary. And I don't know. I think I feel a lot better about it because this store has such a history and such a reputation before, I took it over. So I think I have confidence that people really love this space and that there's really a need for it in the community. So it's not quite as like risky and scary as if I were just opening somewhere else. But yeah, I don't know. It's a big store too. So, and it was really empty when I took over. So filling it has been really fun and just a really big job too. So
What kind of inventory system are you using? Clover or School?
Shopify. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those systems take a little while to learn too, don't they?
They do. And I really want to sell online eventually too. And it integrates with that. So that was a big deciding factor of why I wanted to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Previously, you had been doing some free herbal clinics around town. Do you plan on still doing some of that type of stuff for community engagement coming up in 2025 as well?
Yeah. The free monthly herbal clinic I love doing it. It's really great. It's once a month and it's where, I consider that to be like my community service time. I do the same wellness coaching that I do on a paid level, but it's by appointment only and it's just one day a month. So it's kind of first come, first serve as far as the appointments go. People might be on a wait list for a couple months if it fills up. So that's how that goes, but it's completely free. The herbs are not free, but you do get a discount, but the coaching sessions are. And I was doing those both online and at Presque Isle Mind Body Wellness before. And I do plan on continuing to do that for 2025. I haven't set the dates yet, but I'm going to. And yeah, I encourage anyone who has financial difficulty but wants to work with an herbalist, or like you said, might be just wanting to get started with herbs but has no idea where to begin. I think it's really important that everybody has access to this, to just herbal information in general. As someone who has spent quite a bit of my life below the poverty line and wanting to explore like alternative modalities for healing and not being able to for a lot of that time, it's just really important to me to offer something like that for people who can't afford it. So, yep, that's definitely going to be a monthly offering.
That's fantastic. I didn't know all of that. So that's really cool to hear that you're going to be continuing that. If somebody was interested in doing that, how would they sign up? Do you have a website? Where can people go to check out a little bit more about you online?
I do have a website. It's verityherbsandwellness.com. And there is a page on there for free clinic with all the information about free clinic and all the policies and things like that. But the easiest way to get in with that is just to email me. And I can let you know when there's available dates and things like that.
What's your email address?
It's Kristy, Kristy, at verityherbsandwellness.com.
So I have to ask you, what the heck does Verity mean?
So Verity means truth. And it's funny because it's actually a name as well. And I did not know that when I named my business. So people always think it's my name, but it's not. So yeah, Verity means truth, like irrefutable truth. And the reason I named my business that is because to me, plant medicine is irrefutable truth. Plants don't have an agenda. There's no insurance companies involved. There's no profit. There's, none of that. The plants have evolved with us over thousands and thousands of years. Alongside us, we've evolved because of them. And, that to me is that's the truth of how we can heal ourselves. And I think, health sovereignty is super important. Not giving your wellness away to somebody else who's going to tell you, this is what's wrong with you. This is what you have to do. But just exploring how you can be well and support yourself. I mean, the plants are just there for that. So that's kind of where Verity ties into all of this for me.
I love it, especially just with everything going on in the world right now. And you know that health insurance and all of that is really big in the media right now. So it's really good to come back to the basics, the truth. And I love that you offer that in our community here. So it's really great to see the growth that you're doing the ability to be able to create this space for people to feel comfortable in coming in. And Christine, I know the one thing about you is that you have this vibe to you where there's no pretense. There's no, as soon as I was around you the very first time, I was just like, this girl's is just it. You just make everybody feel so comfortable around you. And you're so smart at what you do and the way you present it on a level where it's not above anybody else's heads, I think is really going to be your key in the community to help create wellness and to spread wellness and health and joy in our community. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on today, Christy. And I'm so excited we met years ago and that we are where we are today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heather. That's very sweet.
So I do have a couple of these rapid fire questions for you. See if I can keep up with my little speaker thing here. So I love this one. If you could have any plant as a roommate, where would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. I think the plant I would want to be roommates with would be passion flower, because passion flower is very chill and calm and collected, and it's very unique looking. It looks like an alien plant, and that's just cool. And I would want somebody cool and chill to be my roommate. So
I love it. I love it. What is the weirdest herb you've ever worked with?
I don't know if it's weird, but I would say probably marshmallow root, because it makes what's called a mucilage, which is like a slime. So when you try to make a tea out of it, if you try to strain the material out, it's like this gooey, slimy mess. And it's wonderful because it coats the inside of us with that goo, and it's super healing and cooling and wonderful. But yeah, it's kind of weird.
I love it. I love it. If your shop had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I would say Feeling Good by Nina Simone, because that it's a new dawn, it's a new day for the store.
I got the chills. That's amazing. That's perfect. It's perfect. What's the most out there remedy you've tried that actually worked? That you like maybe put together and you were like, oh, let's see if this works, and then it did.
Well, I think people think it's really strange to do like an onion poultice. The first time I did that, I thought it was a little strange, and then my kids were like, what are you doing? Because it involves chopping up onions and frying them, and then kind of wrapping them in a t-shirt and putting them on the chest of someone who has like a respiratory issue, like a cold or a cough, especially like a deep bronchial cough. And yeah, the whole house smells like onions. The kids are like gagging, but it works so well and it works so quickly. And it's like this old timey remedy that, our grandparents did without question and like didn't think it was weird. But yeah, I don't think most people do onion poultices.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I know I've heard. What about what's the old wives' tale about putting soap underneath the bed? Does that have any validity to it? You know anything about that?
I don't know. I've never heard that one. I've heard of putting a cut an onion and put it in the room of someone who's sick.
Yeah, I wonder if that's kind of like that would be like sucking that virus or something. Huh?
Right, yeah.
And one last thing, what one wellness tip you swear by that would help most people?
Well, I think it's the one that no one wants to hear, which is sleep is so important. And you can rapidly transform your life by just getting more sleep. And I mean, no one wants to do it. It's hard to do, but it's really not fun, I guess, to like make yourself get more sleep. But yeah, I really swear by that. And I've seen very big transformations with clients just because of sleep, like herbs aside, sleep.
I would agree with you on that. People don't realize all the healing that really happens just by getting that nice deep sleep. And I've done some research and recently went to a conference where we were talking about all that as well. Sleep and water, of course, right? So, well, Christy, thank you so much for coming on here with us today. I'm excited to spread the word about all the wonderful things that you're doing up there, that you're going to be doing up there, and to see the transformation and evolution of Verity Herbs and Wellness as it grows from just all the pieces of things that you were doing before and the beauty of it all finally coming together. I'm so, so excited for you and just thankful that you're in our community.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather. I'm so glad to be talking to you today.
Awesome. And one last time, where is your store located at?
It's 2516 and a half Peach Street, so 26 and Peach, right next to Grasshopper.
Awesome. And then how can people find you? Like online?
VerityHerbsandWellness.com, and then I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Verity Herbs and Wellness.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today to hear from Kristy Baird here, Verity Herbs and Wellness. Next up, we're going to be talking with a candle maker. And then I'm actually going to have a good friend of mine, Raph, on. We're going to be talking and diving deeper in regards to the Roxiva entrainment machine that I have. So everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later. Kristy, I'll meet you backstage, all right?
All right.